how to buy a perfume. I'm going to give you 5 steps to make sure that you don't waste your money ever again and you get the best fragrance for you. Stay tuned to find out what they are. Welcome back, everybody, to Joel the Nose. And today I'm going to go through 5 steps that I use before I purchase any fragrance. And these are steps that are not just random. These are things that I have accumulated over the years from perfumers, from perfume experts, from reading books on the science of smell, from people who sell perfumes for a living. And I've crystallized these down into 5 steps that I think will really help you make sure that the fragrance purchase you make is going to be one that works for you and gives you the best chance at, I guess, adding this to your collection that you're going to love and use for years. So let's get right into this. Number 1, when you're at a department store or maybe a perfume store or wherever it may be, or even if you ordered a bunch of decants in the mail and you've got a bunch you're trying to, don't overwhelm yourself. People can get what's called smell fatigue, and that is when you typically smell too many, your nose may get just completely, almost impervious or unable to smell the different smells that you have. So what I suggest is take the scent strips, whether you have them at home or in the store, and spray first before you go on your skin. Make sure you spray, let's say 4 or 5. I wouldn't go more than 5 typically unless your nose is really trained on the scent strips, and weed out what you like or don't you like. Because obviously when you're trying something new, you're trying it because you don't know whether you're gonna like it, and you wanna weed out first with the scent strips. And very important, never hold the scent strip closer. So for example, I'll just, let's just pretend this is a scent strip right here. Never get closer than a ½ inch from your nose. So typically I like to go about 1 inch, and that is, again, there's science behind that with the olfactory membranes and receptors. If you get too close, you'll overwhelm them, and you could literally basically make it hard to smell really clearly the rest of the time that you're smelling. So never go closer than a ½ inch. Obviously, you don't want to touch it because then you're going to get it on your nose, and that's going to basically affect everything you smell after that. So just be careful. Number 2, after you've kind of smelled the 4 or 5 or whatever number you have on the scent strips, weed it down to 2 or 3 that you're going to put on your skin. I suggest, especially if you're a beginner or maybe you have, again, your nose gets fatigued easily, I would suggest going, 1 on each arm. So narrow it down to 2 that you really like out of the 5 or so that you smelled in the scent strips, and then spray it on your skin and wear it all day, or at least 5-6 hours, so that you get a good sense of the dry down and the composition. A lot of fragrance makers make fragrances that smell really good at the top notes for the first ½ hour, because they're trying to hook you in at the department store or wherever you're purchasing, that you'll buy something and then you haven't worn it and you don't actually like to dry down. So make sure that's very important. I never buy something blind buy. Obviously, I never suggest a blind buy. I also don't buy something after just smelling it on my skin, initially. Let it dry down. Number 3, this is actually very important. Before reading the notes of the fragrance, what you need to do is get your own interpretation of the smell. So, for example, let's just say, I don't know, I've got one here in front of me. This is, Lafayette from Therapia by Aroma. I don't know what the notes are. Before I read, let's say this is a new fragrance for me that I'm trying out, I want to smell it on my skin and see what I interpret the smell to be. The reason why I say this is words are highly influential when it comes to sense of smell, because the sense of smell is something that's not naturally easily described. So you want to work on that. You want to train yourself into describing what you smell, because again, the psychology behind smell, and actually this is anything in life, it goes with music or food, but when people hear words or descriptions first, they tend to then basically just accept and adopt those terms rather than giving it your own interpretation. So I suggest smell it first before you read the notes, because you're going to get your own interpretation, and then you can read the notes by whether the manufacturer, Fragrantica, wherever, and you can see whether you agree or disagree. Because again, fragrance is open to interpretation. It's not going to smell the same for every person, and just because the perfumer wanted it to smell a certain way doesn't mean it's going to smell that way on your skin. So don't be afraid to disagree with what they say. It's you. You're wearing it. This is your fragrance that's going to go on your skin that you're paying good money for. So you got to like it. All right. Number 4, and this kind of goes into that. First impression is extremely important. In fact, it's vital. Don't be disturbed by anything else when you're smelling a fragrance. So go into a room if you're at home by yourself. If you're at the store, step away from the counter. Put away your cell phone. Don't get distracted because, again, this goes back to the sense of smell and the science behind it and the biology. When you first smell something for the first time, that is going to be stuck in your memory forever. So you want to be focused on that smell. You don't want to be distracted because it can easily, lessen the impact that that smell has in your memory and whether you're going to like it or not. So really focus on it. Go into a room, be quiet, be still, be by yourself, or if you're at the store, go off to the side. Don't let the salesperson talk to you while you're smelling it. And if they're telling you what it is, they're going to influence you. You don't want that influence. Remember, you don't want people talking to you or anything like that. And by the way, if you're with a friend, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, same thing. Don't let them influence you because we're highly influenced by words and by other people's opinions. Get your own opinion. And lastly, number 5, when describing a scent or a note, use exact words. This is, again, very important when it comes down to the psychology of smell. Don't use words like almost or it smells like. Say exact words because that has more impact when it comes to memory in your brain and processing and describing that smell to yourself. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If you're describing, let's say, orange blossom in a fragrance or an orange note that you smell, say, I smell juicy, ripe, succulent orange blossom. See how descriptive that is? Very descriptive words, rather than just saying, as we all typically do, this smells like oranges. That is not going to stick in your memory nearly as long, and you're not going to be able to then also describe it very well unless you use exact words. So this is part of training, guys. This is not, I fail on this all the time. So I'm not saying, this is simple, but write down these 5 steps, and I'll put them down in the, the comments or the descriptions below, because this is really important. It's going to help your fragrance game. It's going to help raise it to the next level. It's going to make you a better connoisseur, a better, perfume lover if you follow these 5 steps. And it doesn't just apply to new fragrances. When you're, smelling old fragrances or just smelling in general, use these 5 steps. I'm telling you, it will help you immensely. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you haven't registered for ScentXplore 2021, make sure you click on the link below because we still got a couple weeks left, and that's it of the early bird specials. I'll be back soon with another video. Peace and love.